to Mrs. Mummypenny Talks the Big Questions. And I have another guest sat with me in her beautiful, beautiful, it looks like a yoga room. Marie Smale, who is one of my wonderful, wonderful friends of many, many years. And we are going to be talking about the big question, which is something that's we're both so passionate about, which is how do I survive perimenopause and the menopause, which is a big question. Hi, Marie. Thanks for joining me.
Good morning, Lynn, and thanks for the lovely introduction. It's good to see you this morning on this bright and sunny morning. So yeah, brilliant. Where do we start?
Yeah. Where do we start? So I'm going to start by saying talking about how we met, because I think that's quite interesting, because you're not a lot of the people I interview on my podcast have got like social media followings and stuff, and you're not that
I have
type
no
of person.
following.
You are my actual genuine friends, which all the
Genuine.
people I interview are my friends, but some of them have 100,000 followers on Instagram.
Yeah, no, I've got about 50.
Yeah, 50. So we met, I'm going to say like 10 years ago on a yoga retreat in Cornwall, where we were matched by the yoga retreat woman, Helena, our mutual friend. She
Yeah.
thought we would get on really well, so put us as roomies.
She thought we'd get on really well because we both liked bright lipstick.
Because we both liked bright
That's what she
lipstick.
said to me. You both wear bright lipstick. I thought you'd get on. I thought that's good enough for me.
Yeah, exactly. So and yeah, the rest is history. I think we bonded over. I was married at the time,
Gosh,
but in
yes.
a really dark place. And I remember us like as we were sort of going to sleep, having a chat about our respective relationships, and maybe that's where the seed was planted. I don't know, but because I didn't end up divorcing him until 5 years later. So yeah. So you've and also so we do a lot of like walks together, normally around graph of water, normally water involved.
Always water.
And there's always water. Yeah.
Always
We go
water.
to Pause Spa in Cambridgeshire loads, which I don't want to give away the secret of that place.
Yeah, don't talk
because
about it.
yeah, we go to this wonderful spa in Cambridgeshire, and yeah, we talk about anything and everything. But the really important thing you did for me, well, I mean, you're a guide, so there's 10 years between us, so and we're both you're in the corporate world, all but later. Actually, no, let's start by doing a little bit of your life story and just tell people, you know, what happened in your sort of 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, because it's a really interesting one.
So I am a corporate person. I'm a compliance officer in the city. I've done the corporate journey. When my kids were growing up, I kind of kept my career on the down low, and then I got to 50 and my kids had gone to university. They were doing their own thing, and I thought, right, now is my time. I work in insurance, and the centre of insurance in the world, not just in this country, in the world, is London. That's where insurance started, and I've been in it all my life since I left school when I was 18. And so 50 was really when my career started to hit. And also that's when I hit menopause. So I had this kind of corporate journey in the city, and the city's changed a lot, even I would say in the last 5 years, and definitely since COVID, because we're becoming much more aware as a society of diversity and inclusion, and having conversations that people used to shy away from before, the old kind of white male domination you can really see it, particularly where I live, that is diluted and filtered out now. But when I was coming through it, it was very much a male white environment, and very difficult to have certain conversations, and certain words like menopause. I mean, if you'd said that in a boardroom situation or any kind of formal meeting room, oh my God. But now I drop that word into as many corporate conversations as I can, because I think this is a normal part of life and we should be having those conversations. definitely. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
where I am. And so I was going, as I hit my career and started kind of really concentrating on what I wanted, because I brought my kids up and they were strong, independent women and just getting stronger and more independent. I had the space to concentrate on what I wanted. But at that time, I was hitting perimenopause, and so there was interesting times.
So let's do some lines in the sand. So you started perimenopause when you were 50.
I actually started, Lynn. I was thinking about it this morning ahead of our chat today, but I guess it was around 45.
Right,
And
yeah.
there was something very wrong. So I'm going back probably 15 years, bit less. But there was something very wrong. I was just felt not myself. So I went to the GP, and I think we've probably all, anyone that's had these conversations about perimenopause, he just said, yeah, you're depressed.
Yeah.
And and he put me on antidepressants, which I didn't want to go on, but I wasn't given any opportunity to have a conversation. I didn't know what I didn't know, because that's the old adage, is that you don't know what you don't know. So I did what I was
Mm.
told by my GP, who I trusted, and I took them. But looking back, that wasn't the right thing for me. I was I was entering into perimenopause, and yeah, there was nothing. Sorry, that's my volunteering.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was nothing, so I was clueless. And then I thought, because I hadn't done any research, my mother's generation never talked about it.
No,
We, I think, are the
absolutely
first
not.
generation who are saying this is happening to us, and we need to be able to deal with this
Yeah.
and educate ourselves as to what's happening to our bodies. We're half of the
Yeah.
population, and we're not talking about it, and the support wasn't there.
Yeah.
So I naively thought, well, when my periods stop, that's it, it's all over. And my periods did stop when I was 50, and I thought, excellent, piece of cake. And I remember saying to a girl at work, this is a piece of cake, I'm done. And I'm done. I'm good. I'm good to rock and roll now. We're all good. And then I literally thought I was going mad. And
Yeah.
I started, my sleep deteriorated, and that's due to, I'm not medically trained, but that's due to the drop in progesterone. So that I was
Yeah.
getting night sweats, and I'm don't forget, I'm getting up at 4:30 to get the 6:03 into the centre of London. This is 2017, around then.
Yeah.
And
Man.
anxiety, the confidence that I'd always had as a professional woman in a field that I was confident in, suddenly I'm questioning my decisions. I'm questioning my judgment.
Yeah.
I'm questioning every decision I made. There were women around me who were going through it, but I also noticed that those women tended to fade away. And the reason for that, and we know that now, is because it just is too hard. And so these women that are reaching the top of their career, that are absolutely
Yeah.
in their height, and they have so much experience and so much life knowledge and so much more to give, it's too hard. And because they're not, hungry for money, because they're more comfortable in that stage of their life, they're just too hard, you stop. And I
Yeah.
nearly did that. I actually thought, I can't do this anymore. And I spoke to a friend of mine. I said, I'm going to give my notice in. I just can't do it. And I still hadn't recognized that this was because of menopause. I just thought, I just
Yeah.
can't do this. This is too hard. And she worked in a different part of I worked for a very large group, and she worked for a different part of the group. And she said, come and work for me. And so she gave me that lifeline,
Yeah.
and I'll always be grateful to her for that, because the environment I was in was extremely male and difficult to have a conversation about menopause. And I still hadn't really
Mm.
recognised that that's what it was, to be honest with you.
Mm.
And I
That.
also so when I
Gosh.
started looking into it, wow. Wow.
So I think we just need to like give a little bit of sort of stats and stuff for
Mm,
people that are listening and watching. And I'll also share my story, because you pre-warned me about
yeah.
perimenopause. So I was ready. when it happened because of what you told me. However, I wasn't ready at all. So yeah, I think I'll start with some sort of facts, because this is stuff I've researched recently, because I write a lot about perimenopause, and because of what I'm going through, for newspapers and all kinds of stuff. But all women with a womb and ovaries will go through the menopause. So what the menopause is one day, it is officially 1 year after your last period. Okay, so before, and obviously I'm not telling this to you, I'm saying it to the listeners and watchers.
Yeah.
So, but perimenopause can start 10 years before that. So the sort of average age, it's some point in your 40s when you're going to start perimenopause. And the really interesting thing is, so 20% of women aren't affected at all. They sort of breeze through it without any symptoms. However, they don't know what's going on inside of them, is what I will say. Then 60% of women have some symptoms and are sort of okay. But then you've got 20% of women who go through absolute hell. And that was you, and that was me. If I'm honest, I think it's probably more than 20%, because if you've
I
got
do too.
raging insomnia, and you've got and the things that result from insomnia are anxiety, depression, paranoia, emotional,
Isolation. Isolation as well is
isolation,
huge.
because we can't survive without sleep. It's an actual torture technique. And I know so many women who aren't sleeping properly in their 40s. So yeah, it's a massive, massive issue. And I think you quoted some stats to me when we last met about how many women actually do drop out of the work
Yeah.
environment. What percentage is it?
I can't remember the percentage, but I think the big thing, it's gone from my head because I've
It was
also
like
got
it was like brain fog. Yeah,
brain
yeah.
fog.
It
It was
was
a lot.
it was around 25%, I think you
Yeah, and
said.
that's a massive cost to industry, right? Because then you've
Huge.
got to re-recruit this and you're losing experience. So the
Yeah.
business, and that's one of the reasons that I do a lot of work within my work, kind of on the side of my desk, really, with women's health. I co-chair a women's health group, and we're really getting this conversation going about menopause. And the reason I'm doing it is because there's a whole generation of women in their 40s who are powerful women in the workplace coming up through C-suite positions,
Yeah.
and they're not prepared for what, I don't want to. I want to have this. I don't really like the word legacy because it sounds to me a little bit pompous, but I just want to have tools for people, tools for women, tools for I've got 2 daughters. I don't want them to go through what I went through. There needs to be information,
Yeah.
because if you have that isolation. The other thing is that, and we maybe won't have time to talk about it now, but there's a whole load of women who have medically induced menopause, who have hysterectomies, and I work very
Yeah.
closely. The other co-chair of the Women's Health Group had a medically induced menopause, and nobody warned her.
No.
She had a hysterectomy. Nobody told her. None of her doctors told her. And then she had this crashing menopause. It's just, and it's horrendous. So, it's important to recognize that there are different journeys through this, and no
Yeah.
2 journeys are the same.
No.
But we
No,
all need to be
absolutely.
having these conversations so that women have the tools. It's just about having tools and coping strategies, right? It's just,
Yeah.
because there's stuff you can do, and there's help you can get, and there's conversations you can have, and
Yeah.
you know,
Absolutely. It's really like I like to sort of link it back to like when we started our periods. So
yeah,
and like, because our entire lives as women are, well, and men as well, we are driven by hormones, right? It seems to impact on women a lot more, because we start our periods and yeah, we go through pretty hormonal, like I went through awful times when I was a teenager, because I've got a
terrible.
blood disorder, which means that I've got low platelets, which means that I bleed heavily. So my periods when I was a teenager were like a murder scene. You've never seen so much blood in your life. And nobody helped me. I
No,
remember going to the doctors all the time, and on their solution was to go on the pill.
go on
So I
pill.
went on the
Yeah,
pill
same.
when I was like 14.
Yeah,
And then over the years, The only time I got to actually stabilizing my periods was after my third child was born and I went on the Marina coil. That's the
Yeah,
only thing that's been able
yeah,
to stop me bleeding. And
yeah,
bleeding is a really big issue for many, many women.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
And we're told as
periods and
women, yeah, no, sorry, we're going off topic, I know, but and that's another thing that we've looked at the Women's Health Group is we're told it's just a period.
yeah,
It's not just a period if it's affecting your life in the disproportionately. It's not just a period. You need help, and to your point, we just didn't talk about it.
no, because it was embarrassing. It
Yeah,
was shameful to talk about periods. So, like, I'm sure I've told you this traumatic story about my mum, but I was too embarrassed to tell
yeah,
my mum I started my period. Now, I went for 6 months bleeding everywhere and on the bedding and on my clothing and stuff. And she never said anything to me, which was a little bit weird. Never get that. But maybe it was a mutual embarrassment about periods because we're talking like this was the I started my period when I was 13, so 1990. There was so much shame about periods and sex and talking about anything like that. So yeah, you just sort of figure it out for yourself. But yeah, it's just women go through a lot of stuff with periods, then having babies, and then we go through perimenopause. So I would want to hope that there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
yeah. There
um,
is. There's got to be, right? And I think that hope is the thing that you and I have been really good at doing, and do as much as we can. And that's around community and finding your tribe and
yeah,
connecting with people. I think that's the most important thing you can do. And as women, we're really good at that.
yeah,
That is one of our superpowers as women. We do that, and we've always done that.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So well, that's a lot of personal experience we've just covered there. Like when it's a lot of decent up periods, great. So let's talk about coping mechanisms.
Yeah, yeah,
Because in fact let's first talk about symptoms. Let's cover off symptoms
yeah.
because and I want to drop in a really good resource, which is so Dr. Louise Newson,
Brilliant,
who
brilliant
is
woman.
she is incredible. So she's
Yeah.
the expert on This Morning, and I sent her a DM the other day about how much of my platelets have dropped really, really low. And I'd sent her a DM saying, look, this is such a random question, but my platelets have dropped the lowest they've ever been in my life. Is this because of perimenopause? And she's like, probably, yes. So she
Wow.
actually
She
answered me
actually
back.
messaged you. Yeah.
She's
She's
amazing.
amazing. She's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, so she's got a book I would highly recommend, which is called Preparing for the Perimenopause and Menopause. I will put it in the show notes. She's also got a really good app, which is free, where you can log your
Yeah.
symptoms, of which there's bloody 30 or
There's loads.
40 of
There's
them. There's
loads. Yeah.
so many. And then you can log the ones that are affecting you moderately or extremely. And then you can print out a report that you
Mhm.
can or email to your doctor.
To your
So then you can
GP.
literally rock up at your GP and say, these are all my symptoms. I am in perimenopause. Give me HRT as long as it's appropriate, because
And
HRT is
yeah,
appropriate for most people, not everyone.
not everyone, but that's exactly what I did. And what I got to the stage where I tried to do it naturally. I tried to go through this journey naturally because I am inclined to do that. And
Yeah.
I gave up in 2021 because I was just a shell of a woman, literally. And it was during COVID, and you couldn't get a face-to-face appointment with your GP. And I had to wait 6 weeks for an online, like a telephone call with my GP. And I had that list. I'd contacted Louise Newsom. Her waiting list was huge. I was going to go private with her. It's expensive, but when you're desperate,
Yeah.
um, I managed to get, and I was my phone was on that setting where it doesn't accept numbers it doesn't know. So the call came through from my GP and my phone didn't ring. And I realized I'd missed it. I'd waited 6 weeks for this. I was a shell of a person, and the phone didn't ring because I had the wrong setting on my phone. And I phoned the surgery and I said, I've missed it. And he said, oh, you'll have to make another. The receptionist said, you'll have to make
Oh
another
my
appointment.
gosh.
And I just fell apart. I literally fell apart on the phone to this poor receptionist. And they said, I'll get him to call. And he phoned. The GP was amazing. He phoned. I'll never forget. And I said to him, I've got this. I've got this. I've got this. I've got this. I need HRT. I want patches or gel. And he was like, because I'd educated myself, and I would say that anyone listening to this who's going through this journey and struggling, educate yourself. That's the best thing you can do, is educate yourself. And he just said to me, what brand do you want? He said,
amazing.
he was just like, what do you want? Tell me what you want. And so I said, I didn't know. And he said, he obviously wasn't a menopause expert, but he listened to me and he could tell that I wasn't just, I knew I'd done enough to know that I needed help. And he was amazing. And at the end of the phone call, he said, I wish you well. No GP has ever said that to me before.
Oh my God.
I know. He said, I wish you well. It was December 2021. So I would say educate yourself, definitely.
Yeah.
I was just going to say my big things were sleep, anxiety, and the confidence thing, and brain fog. Because you do think, what's wrong with me?
Yeah. Brain fog is a really big issue.
Huge.
Yeah.
And we also need to talk about dry vagina as well, because I thought I was dying.
I remember you telling me about this, and you put the fear of God into me.
I was terrified. I'm probably oversharing, but I don't think I am, because I feel like nobody told me this. Nobody told me this. So my vagina was so dry that actually it created friction sores.
Yeah.
I could hardly walk. I couldn't sit down. I was in so much pain, and I thought there was something really seriously wrong with me. And this is pre-COVID, and I went to the GP and saw the most fabulous nurse, and she just looked at it and she went, oh, my dear girl. I know. I was in such a state.
How could you even bloody walk? Jesus Christ.
It was so, and so she gave me estriol. You can buy estriol cream, capsules over the counter now. You couldn't then, but you can buy them over the counter now. And that changed my life, because suddenly I could, So again, it comes back to find out, and don't accept it. Don't accept it.
Yeah. So some basic facts. Okay. So there's 3 hormones that affect women and that reduce or change at this stage of life. So the first one you've got is estrogen. I've got a little box of my estrogen gels, which I put one on every morning, which I've forgotten to do. So it's here, ready to do. And I put it on the thinnest part of skin on my body. So I put it either here or I put it on my inner thigh. And then you've got so what estrogen as a hormone, oh my God, it's so important. It regulates everything. It regulates your sleep, like it regulates my blood. So my platelets have dropped because my estrogen is low. My cholesterol is high because my estrogen is too low. It does so much. But then you've got progesterone, which is another hormone.
That's the sleepy one. That's the one if you haven't got enough of that, you'll sleep.
One. Yeah. And I get my progesterone from the Mirena coil, which also helps with the bleeding. So that's a wonderful double winning thing. And there's a lot of people that don't like putting artificial things like that in your body. But when I was bleeding so much that I was going through a tampon every half hour, I do not give a shit. Like, I put a Mirena coil in, and that lasts for like 5 years. So, and it stops me getting pregnant, because I could still get pregnant because my periods haven't stopped. But then you've also got testosterone, which is the other hormone that, again, there's quite a lot of shame and people don't like talking about it. And also men, testosterone levels changing is a really big issue for men as well. But yeah, testosterone is your sort of sex drive, and what else? It's about your sort of your muscular strength, because that's the other thing that happens in perimenopause is your muscle tone goes. We'll come on to fitness in a bit, but those are the 3 things that you need to get checked. And when I got checked when I was 44, that's when I started. My estrogen was too low. and my progesterone was fine because I've got the coil, and my testosterone is fine. I have no problems with my sex drive. It's just
Good to know. Yeah,
let's
you're
just
right.
overshare everything.
But getting that testing is quite hard as well. You need to push for that. I had to go private for that because they don't give you that where I live. I've got a butterfly in my room. That's nice.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's important to know where you are with your body, definitely.
Yeah, yeah, and so you go armed with that information to your GP, and you just say to
100%.
them, "I want estrogen gel,"
Yeah,
because I've seen Mrs. Mummypenny talking about it,
yeah,
and I've got this information from this app from Dr. Louise Newson, who is a qualified, the biggest menopause expert in the country.
yeah.
So yeah, so that's some more of the biological facts. But yeah, coping mechanisms. Okay. So I will start. So my levels have gone up and down over the years. So I'm 47 now. So I thought that I'd cured myself when I was 45. So I was like, oh, I don't need to take estrogen because I'm fixed, like I'm sleeping again. So I stopped taking estrogen for about 18 months. And then I got myself into a right mess in April, May of this year.
Yeah.
And we met up on the 1st of June as I was in the journey. I was still in a bit of a bad place then, as was probably quite obvious. But insomnia, absolutely raging, itchy ankles. Oh
Itchy
my
skin. I
God,
forgot
it's
about
like,
itchy skin. Yeah, itchy skin. I've got such itchy.
but it was just my ankles. The thing is, I've got long nails, so I was
Yeah,
scratching them in the
yeah.
night, and I'd wake
Mine's
up.
here. I'm like
Oh, that's weird.
horrible.
Yeah. So and then I've got all these other factors like my platelets dropping, my
Yeah,
cholesterol going through the roof. So and I did a health MOT actually with my income protection insurance, which was a free added benefit. And that's what told me my cholesterol's too high. So I went off to the doctors, and I was telling her everything. And luckily the doctor I saw was a women's health specialist, and she was like, okay, here's estrogen. You have to start taking estrogen. And by the way, Lynn, you're going to have to take estrogen for the rest of your life.
yeah.
It doesn't just stop when your periods stop. You carry on taking it. But I've not had any breast cancer or ovarian
No,
cancer in my
it's
family.
not for
So
everyone.
no, it isn't for everybody. And you are going to struggle to get it if you've got those kind of cancers in
That's when
your,
it's worth looking at the Louise Newson site and stuff because she
yeah,
gives advice for women that have had cancers, hormone-related
yeah,
cancers.
yeah,
Yeah, but yeah,
yeah. So so yeah, so when I saw the doctor in May, so but I was like, why can't I just take more estrogen to get more into my system? She was like, no, Lynn, it doesn't work like that. You need to give it 3 months,
yeah,
0.5 milligrams a day, just to sort of bed in, and then we check it in September or August for you. So I'm like, okay, but then I'm like, but I can't sleep, and I'm literally losing the plot and the will to live.
yeah,
I've hit rock bottom. I'm crying 10 times a day,
yeah,
and the only solution they can give you is sleeping pills, which actually did more harm than good,
yeah,
because the sleeping pills gave me anxiety,
yeah,
which but the sleeping pill they gave me was amitriptyline, which is a mild dose antidepressant, which made me more anxious, and it fucked up my digestion as
yeah,
well. So I took it for a few weeks out of desperation, but then I started going on this like natural health journey throughout June, where I saw you at the retreat. I went and did a yoga retreat. I met a
yeah,
lot of women who have been through what
yeah,
we are going through, what we have gone through.
yeah,
And I just got some really solid. I also went to the Glass House retreat on a press trip, which was very fortuitous, that I got because I've been putting my story out on Instagram. One of my friends who's a journalist couldn't do it, so she passed it to me instead. And I just, as you say, I educated myself. I got some
educate
sleep
yourself.
coaching. I was doing
Yeah,
loads of yoga, and then I managed to get off the sleeping pills. And what I do now, I'm just going to show you some products, is I take estrogen, absolutely, but I take this thing called nano magnesium.
I was going to
Um,
say magnesium is, I've only recently discovered magnesium. I love it. It makes sure I
yeah,
get a good night's sleep. I didn't know about magnesium. But if you go into Holland and Barrett, they're amazing actually, because they've got trained
Yeah.
herbalists, and they'll tell you. Because I found out accidentally, because my husband takes magnesium and zinc. I don't know why. I thought, oh, I'll try that. And I suddenly realised it was having a really good effect on my sleep. But I went into Holland and Barrett and said, I need my own supply of magnesium and zinc. And he was great. He went through everything with me. He said, you don't need the zinc bit, you just need the magnesium bit. So, I
Yeah.
mean, you can get advice. You don't, if you want to go down that herbal route, go and speak to somebody who's trained in it, because they are trained there, and there
Yeah.
are a lot of places you
Yeah.
can get help.
Yeah. 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 So
Magnesium's
this
amazing.
magnesium is really, but there's no medical testing that's been done on it, so there's no proof out there.
No,
So
I
it's
know.
just, but I know it's working for me. So it's my view and my view only. But this nano magnesium is really good, because you put it in your mouth an hour before you go to bed, and you swirl
Yeah.
it around your mouth,
Yeah.
and it soaks into, like, your cheeks are really good
Absorbed.
receptors, aren't they?
Yeah.
Um, and then the other things that I take is so I take these mushroom supplements. Um,
Oh.
so this one is reishi. How do you spell it? Reishi, and this is for sleep. So just before I go to bed, I take one
Okay.
of these, and I take my nano magnesium. These are about 20 quid for 2 months worth of supply.
Okay.
And then you've heard of lion's mane.
Oh, yes. I have heard of lion's mane.
So
You take,
lion's
what's
mane,
that for? Is that for sleep? That's for cognitive, is it
no,
not?
lion's mane is for the brain fog and for
Yeah.
focus. So I take
Yeah.
one in the morning, and I swear to you, I am so fucking productive in the morning. I get all of my work. I start work at 6 in the morning, and like, we're recording this 8 or 9. And so I'm pretty much done with my work day by lunchtime.
Amazing. I'm going to get onto lion's mane. I've been looking at lion's mane. I listened to another podcast, and she's just started taking lion's mane for cognitive kind of joined upness. So, and
Yeah.
I've kind of been thinking about that. So I'm going to get onto that.
Yes, and this company is called Grass and Co. They've got no affiliation. But they do a really good, like, 25% off offer when you first
Okay.
join up and get a bundle. So I got the Focus and I got the Dream, and I think it cost me like 30 quid for both of them for 2 months
Okay.
supply. I mean, that's an introductory offer. But yeah. But actually, what I will say about lion's mane is a guy recommended it to me,
Yeah.
who has been sort of helping me with my holistic life, and he takes it, like, it's just for focusing the mind, and it's
Yeah.
particularly helpful because I've got a little bit of an ADHD brain where I struggle to focus on things, and I'm always thinking of the 20 things I've got to do that day, and it's really helping me to not do that.
I'm going
So
to get onto that.
yeah,
Definitely.
yeah. Lion's mane. It's very, and it's also a mushroom. So yeah, those are some. So what other coping mechanisms have you got?
My go-to, and I've tried lots of different things, and I would say, try stuff out, try stuff on, and see if it fits, and if it doesn't, find something else. So I've
Yeah,
recently got into cold water swimming, which I absolutely love. And I've invested in a tub in my garden, a cold water tub in my garden. So I go and sit in that, and I've put a track on my phone, and I just sit in there for 10 minutes. And there's loads of information on social media about the benefits of cold water, but that is a reset for me, and I love it.
yeah,
I do it as much as I can, but I'm quite fussy about where I swim, because I think
yeah,
there's some nasty stuff in rivers. We all know that. We all know. We're all aware of that. So I swim in places that I know are clear and clean,
yeah,
or I sit in my tub. And the benefits of cold water are huge. I do yoga. I keep fit. I keep very fit. I do. And
yeah,
to your point, I think you said earlier about your muscle mass, it declines in menopause. And so I do 4 boot camps a week for my strength, because if you've got a strong body, it helps you with your mind. That's that's how,
Yeah.
for me, it does. If my body's strong,
Yeah.
my mind is strong. And I think that's for me. So my body is cold water, keep it fit. My mind is my yoga. I meditate every day, twice a day, sometimes in the morning. I meditate. And at night, I do a meditation just to bring me down and
Yeah.
reset before I go to bed. That's just a personal
Yeah.
thing. It just helps me sleep. And my
Yeah.
tribe. I mean, honestly, Lynn, I think
Yeah.
the older I've got, I've realized how important my tribe are, and it's a tribe of women, and those are the people you go to for strength, for conversations, for honesty, the people that know you, that have no agenda with you,
Yeah.
who, they're not there with an agenda. They're there because we all recognize that it's good to be, it's good with the company of women, and the conversations, those conversations like when you and I go to pause, we sit in a hot tub for 3 hours and we just talk, and you come away feeling. Do you remember the one we did earlier this year? We watched, it was like January and it was getting dark at 4, and we watched the sun go down over the hill, and I can't tell you, that's just tops your cup up. And I think that's
Yeah.
that finding something to top your cup up, so that when you are empty, when you're
Mm,
spent, even if it's
mm.
just a 5-minute meditation, if it's a cup of hot chocolate, if it's a herbal tea and a chapter of a book with a candle,
Yeah.
whatever it is, it doesn't need to be expensive. It doesn't need to cost anything. It can
Mm,
be, a herbal tea bag in a hot pot of
yeah.
tea, a
Yeah.
hot pot of water.
Yeah.
But just find those little moments in your day that will top your cup up, because we can't walk around empty and trying to cope with everything and take on everything. That's would be one of my big go-tos. I think I found that out for myself the hard way. I need to
Yeah.
fill my cup up.
I when so the yoga retreat I went on the weekend after I saw you in June, oh my God, it was like magic. Like I always get emotional thinking about it because I met these 15 women, and most of them were your sort of age. There's a lot of wisdom going on there.
So much
And
wisdom.
I was just so, I was like a child because I had all these women like looking after me and giving me
Yeah.
advice and passing, but also I was able to pass wisdom back to them because I
You
acknowledge
do
that
though.
I
You
have.
do. When we were at pause, you did, didn't you? We were in the hot tub with these two amazing women, and we were all sharing the wisdom, and it was just such an open space. It's incredible. It's really, really,
It was amazing.
it was.
We need to message that woman and do the
Yeah.
art thing.
Yeah, we do. We
We
do.
do need to do that. So yeah, we met an artist. They were a bit, they're older, weren't they? They were sort of late
They're about,
60s.
I guess they're about 10, 15 years older than me.
Yeah.
So they were in the next kind of part of their journey.
Yeah.
But the wisdom, oh my God,
Oh, and the
the freedom.
freedom they've
Yeah.
got. Oh my God. So like I do think that decades get easier once you sort of get past, maybe once you get past your 40s and your children grow up a bit. I think maybe when you get into your 50s and 60s. I just
You give
recorded a,
less of a shit what people think. It's really
yeah,
that. And
I
and
did
you just do. This
the
is
I recorded another podcast yesterday, so which will be out by the time this comes out. So yours is coming out in mid-August. I interviewed Pete Matthew for sort of early August. The big question we talked about was, does life get easier as you age? And he's a dad of girls, and I'm a mum of boys. So it was a really fascinating
yeah.
discussion. And he's very open and honest and talks about absolutely everything like you and I do. Quite rare for a man. But I love him so much. And he's from Penzance as well. Like he lives like
Connections.
my home. Yeah, yeah. But he's this like uber like financial guru that's got like 120,000 followers on YouTube, and this
Yeah.
podcast that gets downloaded 100,000 times a week. It's crazy. Anyway, so yeah, we were talking about the same sort of thing. But the thing I was going to go back to, yeah, so I met this wonderful group of women, and one of them, they're all local to me as well, more local than you because you're like an hour away. But one of them, Claire, is going to take me wild swimming, because she knows all the secret places around, like Welwyn and Hitchin and Nebworth and Hertfordshire. So that's very good. I'm going to do that, because
And it's
obviously I'm
free,
a
but I would say
water
don't
baby.
ever go on your own.
No, I'll only ever go with Claire. Yeah.
There's a
But
lot of
I was going to say, the other coping mechanism I want to add in is walking. I am a massive walker, so I do 15,000 steps a day, and it is a little bit of a healthy obsession. I force myself to do it every day, and sometimes you do have to force yourself, but
yeah,
oh my God, it makes you feel better. It really does. It's
yeah,
the
just
nature,
being in
it's the
nature.
smells, the birds, the sounds, the flowers, and you know, like, you walk past loads of people walking their dogs, and it's just a little hello.
Yeah.
It's
But that
lovely.
makes you feel connected, doesn't it? We need people. We are pack animals. The other thing I would say, which is great, if I don't know if you ever do this, but take your shoes off and feel the earth, because
Yeah,
that
ground yourself.
grounds you. It's just the most extraordinary thing.
Yeah. And we are both really into yoga. Well, I mean, you can tell I'm just about to go to hot yoga when we finish. Um, and we've both got all the yoga tattoos,
Yeah, got my yoga
which
on. Yeah,
Marie's husband Matt has done all of my tattoos,
yeah,
and all of yours.
and all of mine. Yeah,
Yeah. So the other thing I was going to say about coping mechanisms is journaling. And I mention
journaling's
this
good.
a lot.
Yeah,
I love, and you just sit with a book and you just write whatever crap comes into your head. And sometimes I have a prompt. Like I follow some really incredible people on Instagram. My Instagram feed is really curated, and it's only positive people. And
I
there's a
think that's
woman I
really
follow
important,
called,
because
yeah, there's a
I
woman I
think,
follow called
go
Kirsty
on.
Gallagher,
Yeah,
um, who is because so she sends like a little message every day. It's the cosmic community.
yeah,
You'll love it. And
I'll
so
get onto that.
today's message was, use the energies of this week to think about where you look to the outside world for answers or for approval or for validation. It's time to take back your power and shine your light from within. It's just
Yeah. That's
beautiful.
cool. That's very cool. I think it's important to be careful what you let in here, to what
Mm,
you listen to and what you watch and what you allow into your feeds,
yeah,
because that can have such an effect on your mental state. If we're taking
yeah.
in the right stuff, we're listening to the right stuff, we're seeing the right stuff, it's going to have that positive effect on us. I think it's really important. I don't think people think about that enough,
Yeah.
about what they allow into their ears, because it affects your mental state.
Yeah, and surround yourself with the right people.
Yeah,
So
definitely. Your
this
tribe.
is and this is a really difficult thing, but it does come with age, and it does come with like not giving a fuck. But
It does.
if you've got toxic people in your life,
Yeah,
get
it's
rid of
true.
them.
Yeah,
And
it's
and I
true.
know it's harsh, but sometimes you need to split up with friends.
I've had to do that. I've had to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
And
hard.
it's almost harder than a relationship.
Yeah. Because you can't, it seems, but you've got to just allow the right energies into your life. I sound like such an old hippie, and I probably am, but yeah,
But like, so what? Like,
yeah.
I I've fully embraced the whole sort of spiritual side of me. Probably since that yoga retreat 10 years ago. I think that's where no, it was meeting Helena when I was pregnant, actually. So Jax, it was 12 years ago when I first started doing yoga. It really helped my last pregnancy, because I had massive pelvis issues. But with the fitness stuff, it's really important to mix it up. Like, it
Yeah.
is really important to do weight training.
Yeah,
But
weight
I
bearing
see
is really important.
I do weight bearing, and then I do yoga for my head. I do a lot of yin yoga, which is very difficult for me because I'm a very yang person. So
Yeah.
yin and yang is sort of light and dark, summer and winter, male and female. and I'm a very out there extrovert person, so I need to come into myself and do introverted type yin practices. And then if I want to go out for a run, like I do go for a run, but I do it for fun. Although I always time myself and I'm very competitive with myself, but it's not a strict part of my fitness structure, because at my stage of life, I just need to work on muscle strength.
Yeah.
And I've dropped a load of weight. Like
Yeah.
I'm because being overweight is also a thing that's gonna like do a lot of
It's another struggle for your body, isn't it?
harm.
Yeah, it's another struggle for
Yeah,
your body. Yeah. No, I think it's interesting, isn't it? Because it's a bit of a juxtaposition, because we're both very corporate people, but we also have this kind of yoga spiritual thing going on as well, and it's all
yeah,
about balance. And I think as you get older, and going back to menopause and perimenopause, it's dealing with that balance and finding that balance, and
yeah,
so that you can just function
yeah.
properly and
Agree,
effectively
agree.
and efficiently, and have joy and playfulness in your life without being bogged down by life, because
Yeah,
life is short and we should play more, definitely.
yeah. I love it. I love it. Um, I'm going to end it there because I think
All
that's a
right,
good place
darling.
to end it. And we've been talking for 47 minutes. I always try to limit my
That went so
podcast to 40
quick.
minutes.
That went so
I
quick.
know it goes so quickly,
Yeah,
but then we could sit in a hot tub for 3 hours and
that's true. We can talk.
still
It's true.
have only covered 5% of our life. Yeah, so thank you ever so much for joining me. We covered
It's a pleasure.
so much stuff in
Yeah.
that conversation. I will, any resources we've mentioned, I'll link them, like the supplements and the apps and Dr. Louise's book and all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff.
And
So
Davina, should mention big up to Davina, because she's got the conversation
yeah,
out there. There's so many now. If you my social media, I was talking about feed, but mine is full of women and menopause matters,
yeah,
and there is a lot of help. There's a lot of resource. Find the person that kind of speaks to you,
yeah,
and educate yourself.
and as you said, find your tribe.
Find your
Like
tribe.
if you need to be surrounded with older, wiser women than you, because that's what I need at the
Yeah,
moment, then do it.
do it. Find
And
it. Yeah,
put yourself into situations where you're going to be with those people. So go to yoga retreats. Like
yeah,
I go to yoga retreats by myself. I do not
yeah.
give a shit, because it's
You
people on your
always
wavelength.
come away meeting friends for life, having met
Yeah.
friends for life.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. Let's look at us. So yeah, thank you ever so much.
Been
Normally
a
I end by
pleasure.
saying, how can people find you on the internet? But like,
They
you're
can't.
not that type of person. You can't. Marie's
Everything's
secret.
private.
She's just my friend.
I just love talking to you, and thank you for inviting me and to me to this and to listening to me. It's lovely, and I think it's just such an important thing. We've got to be having these conversations. So thank you, Lynn.
You.